Alrighty, everybody. So today I want to give like a full video, kind of just walk around, ride, etc. Kind of be filmed in multiple parts, I imagine, but give a video of my RZ350 that I have. Pride and joy. Put this thing together. I took it frame down, built this whole thing. So as somebody who, this was actually really honestly my first time ever going through a motor like I did, I'm pretty happy with the results. And the fact of the matter is I've ridden this thing like 150 miles and the thing still works, shifts. So hey brother, must have done something right. So anyways, let's get to the meat potatoes. I want to show you all what I did and you know what you can expect from something out of a build like this. So as you can see, this bike is essentially pretty much stock. I mean, it's got a total of 40,000 miles, 43,000 miles to be exact on it. So it's seen some wear and tear. The old paint has got a sweet patina on it. The plastics are a little bit beat up, you know, the full nine. I mean, it's not perfect, but the cool thing about this bike is this is a 1985 Kenny Roberts edition bike. So this was one of the last years, if I believe it was the last year that they made this bike in the US. So pretty neat overall, but it has seen its wear over the time. So as part of the rebuild, I kind of wanted to, you know, take it and make it into its, you know, kind of like a new glory, if you could say the least bit. So as part of this build, I literally touched every nut and bolt. You know, starting with the front end, I took this apart, new tires, powder coated rims. I had to replace some of the bolts here, etc. on the rotors. I had to rebuild the brakes, new braided lines. I had to do some work to the front end here to basically replace some dust seals, etc., and clean everything up. And I mean, this thing was in such bad shape when I got it. I had to clean every single thing. Took it down to the frame, had the frame powder coated on the thing. Tank, believe it or not, was in beautiful shape inside of the bike. So I really didn't have to do any of the typical vinegar mix that you've seen in the last videos. But I was pretty thrilled with that. So moving forward, I went ahead, I painted a bunch of the motor pieces. I rebuilt this motor completely in terms of I put a new crank in it, crank bearing, seals, bored the cylinders out, new pistons, rings, etc. Cleaned all the carbon out of the power valve here so it would actually function and turn properly. It was, but it was so carboned up, it was awful. Went ahead in here, resealed the entire motor. So anything that you see like shift shaft seals, sprocket seals, etc., I went ahead and did that. New chain and sprocket. I went ahead, did all carburetor clean, rebuilt those as best as that I could. And I went with what you can't see under here is a Toomey 2-in-1 air filter, also with the Carbon Tech reeds on this machine. So the jetting on this bike, just if anybody's wondering, is a 430 main and a 20 pilot. I probably should put the 20 pilot to like a 22.5. It has a little bit of a hesitation at about 3,500 Rs, but truthfully this bike is ridden, like this bike is literally ridden at like probably 4,000, 5,000 RPM at all times. I mean, it redlines out to about, you know, maybe like 10,000 or so. So I mean, you're hardly ever in the spot where this little hesitation is. And if you pulled my spark plugs out, you'd see that they're absolutely mint. They're perfect. So I don't know, I might not change it. It's not a big deal anyways. So kind of just going back a little bit to the old owner had a like a fan, I guess you could say, on the back of this. It was kind of ghetto. I took that off completely. I wanted to put it back to stock and kind of make it look, you know, a little bit more stockish. Went ahead and put the, you know, the neutral safety switch, I guess you could, neutral safety switch, the kickstand safety switch, I guess, back on. This bike, I repainted the Toomey pipes on it, as you can see here. And I did this with VHT high temp paint, and so far it's been holding up really good. So went ahead, cleaned all these parts up, powder coated the back, rebuilt the brakes, you know, just kind of the full nine on this bike. I did quite a bit of work, and so just so people know, like, this project here alone, I spent 2 months of just pure working on this bike in terms of evenings, Saturdays, just putzing with it. And with the big thing being I had to wait for parts, obviously. That's why it took me so long to get this thing done. But in working on it, it probably took me 2 months. And I tried to do my best with it. You know, I can't say I was perfect with everything, but, you know, for my first ever kind of like rebuild of a bike, tearing down completely, I'd say I did a pretty good job. I went through too as well just to note all the wheel bearings, suspension component bushings, anything that I could get for the suspension I bought, because I mean 40,000 of miles of wear, it's showing it on the bushings. So went in and did all that, obviously, you know, fresh oil. So I went in and put new bearings for the coolant fan in there, the coolant drum, we could say. Went and did that. But yeah, pretty sweet bike overall. Bike is premix, so I don't have any of the old parts to put it back to being a bike with oil injection. Now, I really do wish I had oil injection, because it sucks filling this up and having to like only able to ride it so many miles, and it's not fun. It kind of sucks. But, you know, I'm not going to complain. Thing runs mint. So some slight modifications that I did. I took off the mirrors because I think they look like Dumbo ears. They look awful. Also went ahead and got some aftermarket turn signals online. I threaded the end of the original turn signal bracket, and was almost perfect fit for these. So went ahead, made extenders, and it just kind of gives it more of a slim look, as you can see on both sides. And that's kind of like what I was really going for, kind of like that slim crotch rockety look without making it look too modified. So this bike is essentially a 45,000 mile machine from 1985 with complete mechanical rebuild. It's pretty sweet, and I think the cool thing to me is, like, it can only be original once, and it can only be retro and rad once. And that's why I'm not going through and doing any of the tank painting or anything like that and changing the plastics. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it can only be original once. And, you know, I could get plastics, but it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't be this machine. So that's kind of what I did to it so far. So you may be wondering, like, Mitch, in grand total, how much did you spend on this bike? What were the numbers? As a finance guy myself, I went through it, you know, give or take. It cost me about $4,500 to rebuild this bike completely. From powder coat to all the engine parts, the cylinder repair, it was about $4,500. So if anybody thinks that, like, doing some of these rebuilds are cheap, they're not. But if you like doing it, it's fun. And you got to keep that in mind. This bike, for me, I've dreamt of having a bike like this. Could I have bought one that was in better shape for, you know, 8 or 10 grand? Absolutely. But I'm into this bike for, you know, $4,500 less what I paid for it, or more what I paid for it, and I can't really complain. It was definitely a good deal, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, something I've always wanted. So I didn't mind the money, didn't mind the time, and, you know, that's what I recommend. Like, if anybody's ever gonna do this, man, just go for it. You know, don't worry about the money as much. I mean, you gotta work within a budget, of course, but just have fun. I mean, these bikes don't come around very often, and if you get a chance to rebuild one and you can get it cheap enough, I highly recommend. It's a lot of fun. Ooh, also, before I forget, on the tank, like I said, Didn't have to do the vinegar, but because it's really nice. And this bike is premix. So with the 430 jet on the main and the 20 pilot, Carbon Tech reeds, the Toomey air filter, Toomey pipes, I am running 32-1 in this tank. So if anybody wants to know, 32-1. It's important. You could maybe get away with like a 40-1 mixture, maybe. But as this is essentially a Banshee motor, anything that you like want to know about the motor, just look up a Banshee. It's the same thing. And most guys are running between 32-1 and 40-1, just kind of depending on, you know, application, etc. But 32-1 has been perfect. I run like an AMSOIL semi-synthetic mix. It's nothing fancy, so works out good though. Recommend. For those that are legitimately wondering, it is actually, I lie, this is not an ad for AMSOIL, this is an ad for Lucas. Lucas semi-synthetic 2-stroke oil. You can get this at any AutoZone. Run it 32-1, works pretty darn good. This is the end of part 1 of the RZ video. Next part 2, you're gonna see this thing on the road tearing up the streets. So stay tuned for the next little bit. Thanks everybody. See the shirt change? That's about part 2 coming soon.